Paul,
Yes.
you don't.
Our second guest today is Barbara Ann Foley, Director of the Council on Aging. Barbara Ann has some snippets, as she calls it, she wants to go over with us. So Barbara Ann, you can start on your snippets.
Thank you, Paul. I do. I have a little bit about a lot of things today. And what I'd like to start with is something called the MOLST form, M-O-L-S-T. We have, most of us hopefully by now, have heard of a healthcare proxy. And basically what both of these forms are designed to do is to help a person in your family or a close friend to make a medical decision on your behalf if you are not able to make that decision for yourself. So the healthcare proxy, we know you have a person signed up and then you have an alternate signed up. So if the person you have is not able to make the decision or is not in the country or something, you have an alternate. The difficulty or the downside, I guess you could say, of the healthcare proxies, they're a little bit limited, meaning that if you ended up in a car accident and they wanted to put you or needed to put you on a ventilator, they need permission to do that from somebody. And if you do not have a do not resuscitate order, they are going to do what is medically necessary for your care. So in trying to think about that, people have done the healthcare proxy, but what happens is kind of the then what. So that same car accident, they are not able to obviously feed you by mouth. So they would then talk about a feeding tube or a nasogastric tube that goes through the nose to get you nourishment into the body. And so if these are things and you're a 90-something-year-old and you say, you know what, I don't want those things. I don't want all this, resuscitation or emergency care. There's nothing that you can do except fill out this MOLST form with your doctor to say, you know what, I am in charge and I'm going to tell my person exactly what I want, including the doctor. So my futile attempt to put it into the newsletter, I apologize greatly, but at least it gives you an idea. It has got to be on a pink form. It is recognized, believe it or not, it has its own hot pink color that the state wants and the federal government wants from us. And it came out light pink and blurry. So go figure. But as I said, it does give you an idea of what's on there. Very quickly, they talk about CPR, they talk about a ventilator, they talk about transfer to a hospital. And then on the back side of the form, they talk again about intubation and dialysis and artificial nutrition and artificial hydration, all of those kinds of items. And so you work this form with your doctor. You also fill out a healthcare proxy form, and then you're pretty much covered kind of head to toe, literally. The reason why is she bringing up this really depressing subject in the beginning of a new year? I like to remind people in the beginning of the year, one, to have your files of life updated. A lot of us, yes, we have them on our fridge, but they might have a medication you haven't taken in 2 or 3 years still on there. Well, that's not going to help rescue when they get to your house and they start to go through the medications and think that you are still on, say, Coumadin or something that's really important to know and you haven't taken it for 3 or 4 years. So as we've turned over a new calendar, please look at those files of life, update them. If you need a new card insert, don't hesitate to give us a holler or stop by and pick one up. And take a look at this MOLST form. Have a chat with your primary care doctor about it, chat with your family about it, and let your voice be heard on paper of what you want so that, and the reason I bring this all up, is so that you don't have a family member in a complete quandary. Their heart and their gut is saying, I want to do everything I can to keep mom or dad or grandma or whoever it is alive. But then their brain is saying, he or she is 90-something years old, and I don't know if this is what they want. Please, please, I beg of you, don't put your family in that position. Make your wants, your needs, your desires known now. And the easiest way to do that is those 2 forms. So I do apologize for the way they look. They didn't come out the way that we wanted, unfortunately. But at least it gives you an idea and a reminder that they do need to be filled out, and to have that discussion now, sooner rather than later. Another topic I wanted to remind people of is we have something called the Video Service Delivery Machine. Well, what the heck is that? It looks actually like a larger computer monitor, and it's with us always in our counseling room locked up. And once a month to start, on the normally third Monday, of each month, we will be having a live appointments for you. Unfortunately, January and February both have holidays on that third week, so there'll be the fourth week for the next 2 months. So January 24th, we will be taking appointments starting at 9:05, and they will be 15-minute appointments unless you tell us otherwise, meaning if you say, okay, Barbara Ann, I am going to be signing up for Social Security benefits or Social Security disability benefits, something that needs a longer appointment, then certainly we will book you for 45 minutes or an hour. Otherwise, there'll be 15-minute appointments. And what do they look like? Well, you go in and you literally sit in front of a screen. If you have a 9:05 appointment, let's say it's Paul, Paul is going to sit in front of the computer screen, and Susie Jones on the other end, a live person, is going to be saying, you must be Paul. How can I help you, Paul? And Paul will say, for example, you know what? I cannot find my benefits page for the life of me. I don't know what I did with it, but I'm going to need it for my fuel assistance or for my food stamps or for some other program. And I don't want to drive to Hyannis to come pick a copy up. They say on the other end, no problem, Paul. We will mail you one. And they ask whatever information is required in order for them to do that. Or let's say you've lost your Social Security card. You have no idea where it is. Or you've gotten married, or you have something to do with Social Security that you just don't need to go all the way to Hyannis. I know I sound like a native Cape Codder, don't I? All the way to Hyannis. But the Social Security office is a very busy place. And if you don't have to make that drive and wait in long lines, why not come here? You do not have to live in Harwich. Anyone across Cape Cod can come and use this machine by appointment. And the way that you do that is to call our Council on Aging desk, which is 430-7550. So as I said, this month and next month, they will be here on the fourth Monday, starting at 9:05. This is just a tremendous service, and what you need to know is we are the only VSD machine on Cape Cod. So we are a beta trial, as they say, and they're hoping that because we have a large population of seniors, that this service gets utilized quite frequently. Hopefully it will. The next thing I want to tell you about is we are very sad to have said goodbye to our wonderful Elder Affairs Liaison, Donna Tavano, who has given the town of Harwich more than 20 years of her life, and we thank her for her wonderful years of service, not only to the Harwich Police Department, but of course to the Harwich Council on Aging, where she served for over 10 years. That's our sad news. The good news is, and positive news, is we have a wonderful person who is filling those shoes. Her name is Amy Walensky, and she is in her 10th year at the Harwich Police Department. She has worked as a field training officer. She's worked on the bike patrol, and she's been part of the domestic violence advocacy as well. So we are getting a really, really great young lady who is coming to us, and we couldn't be more thankful to Chief Gilmet and Deputy Chief Tom Gagnon for allowing us to continue this really important position. We have a lot of work that we do with their department, and you really need to continue to have this position and have the right person in this position. So we are very grateful to welcome aboard Amy Walensky to our Elder Affairs Liaison position. I want to remind people, as the weather is getting cold, a lot of people do not like having to make a meal for themselves, especially if you live alone. I had a grandmother who used to say if she didn't feel like cooking, she would but put together saltine crackers with peanut butter and have a cup of tea. And that was her idea of nutrition. She said, you know, you get your carbohydrates with the crackers, and a little bit of salt and protein with the peanut butter. And I kept trying to say to her, you got to be kidding, that's not a meal, that's like a snack. But that's what she did because she didn't, at times, as she got older, because she didn't want to cook. She has not been with us for a long time, but my point in telling you that is there's a lot of people who feel that way. So if you feel like, you know, I just don't feel like making lunch or supper, Tuesday through Friday, our own chef, Linda St. Pierre, for $3 at lunchtime, makes a wonderful meal and terrific camaraderie. I don't believe that on an everyday basis it's very fun to eat by yourself. So I would welcome anybody new especially, to come. And if you are interested in our supper club, that meets on Monday nights at 5 o'clock. And every Monday from now until June, we have a form of entertainment. It could be a singer, it could be a slideshow program, it could be a musical group. Whatever it is, every Monday at 5 o'clock, that meal is $5. And if you have a friend who doesn't live in Harwich, they are certainly welcome. We only ask that they pay $1 more as an out-of-towner, and so that would be $4 for lunch and $6 for supper, which certainly is still very reasonable. Most of our meals that are served are a hot meal that are served by our chef. So if you are interested, you just need to call by 11 o'clock the day before the meal that you choose to come to. So if you want to come on a Wednesday, you call by 11 o'clock on Tuesday and say you're coming. And again, we welcome any newcomers. We have a couple of services that I want to remind people about. On January 24th coming up, we have a Reiki master, Diane Thibodeau, who not only teaches other Reiki students, but she's got students that will be coming here as well. And if you've never had this kind of treatment, it is not only relaxing, but it is known to be very healing as well. Cape Cod Hospital, as well as Falmouth Hospital and others in the Boston area, have used this along with acupuncture and other treatments that are in the holistic medicine category, I would say. And they are free here and very, very relaxing. So if you have not tried Reiki yet, definitely give us a call and sign up to meet Diane. Well, Paul, our housing summit, I think I said on this station before, was we had 61 people signed up and 90 plus showed up.
Wow.
So we decided that since it was such a popular program, we are going to repeat it. And we will be doing that again on February 13th, which is a Monday from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We will have a number of different speakers. Again, it's kind of equivalent to the methodology, if you will, of speed dating. So you'll be hearing from one speaker for 5 to 7 minutes, and then write down any questions that you have, and then another speaker will continue on. And then at the end, we will have all of the speakers available, and we will take all of those questions so that they get answered. On the perimeter of the room, we will be having all of those same speakers, wherever they come from, whatever business they have. We will have tables, and on the perimeter, they will have handouts that you can pick up. So if you have a question, for example, about pine oaks, and they will be here, you can ask them at the end of the session. But in addition to that, they will be in the back of the room and have things out on a table. So we welcome anyone to come. Again, it is on February 13th from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We are basically building on what we talked about in the last housing summit. And this time we will be having a downsizing person, because we had that in a lot of the evaluations. People were asking for that. We will also be having our Harwich Fire Department and myself will be chatting about the home safety program to keep people safe in their homes that choose to stay in their homes, and a myriad of a bunch of other topics that as we get closer to the date, you'll tune into the station and you'll hear about them. We actually will have one of the speakers live to give you a little tidbit of what we're going to be talking about. February 24th, we would like to have our winter celebration of all of our volunteers, and that will be a volunteer breakfast. So Paul and all of the Channel 18 volunteers, Joyce and Ron and a number of others, will be welcome to come right here in the multipurpose room, along with all the other volunteers, to thank them for their wonderful volunteer service. We'll be doing this now on a quarterly basis. So we had our springtime program that we always do at Riverway, and then you might recall we had our summer cookout barbecue, and we now are going to have a winter breakfast. So it is a RSVP requirement, and you can do that by calling the Council on Aging reception desk. The last couple things I want to tell you about are a couple of little snippets again. We have a wonderful program that I'm hoping that people who are viewing this will take advantage of, and it's called our Nutrition and Diet Support Group. It meets here at the community center. It's free. There's a nurse who runs it, and it meets on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. They do a weigh-in if you choose to do that, so you can keep track of what your weight is, and it is this sliding scale kind of scale, not the one that you step on, which is usually a little bit more accurate. The nurse has often handouts and wonderful topics that she chooses to brief people about. And it's a really great camaraderie group. They are always welcoming new people and would love to see people come into the program and take advantage of it. So if you have something either you want to learn about with nutrition and diet, or something you want to offer, please do not hesitate to just drop in on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock here at the community center. The senior tax work-off is also something that was put into the newsletter. I've done it 2 newsletter cycles in a row now on purpose. They're in the newsletter. We have all of the requirements, so I won't bore you with them here, but there is an income requirement and an age requirement. And if you fit those, you not only qualify for the senior tax work-off, but you also qualify for the senior exemption, both of which are a $1,000 abatement off of your property taxes. So if you are someone who is struggling with your property tax bill, please do not hesitate to either give myself or the Town Assessor's Department a call. The Assessor's Department can let you know if you income qualify, and if you do, there's a whole bunch of paperwork you bring to them, and then once they say, yes, you're in, they will send you up to me and we will get you placed. So how does that work? Well, if Paul said to me that he was approved, I would ask Paul a very simple application form. I would ask him his background and what experience that he brings. And then if he is somebody who was a whiz on the computer, I might put him in an office that is in need of that kind of data entry or some work of that kind. If we had a housewife who maybe has never used a computer or doesn't work with computers and doesn't like them, we would have a different kind of work that they would be doing. So we work with the person's background and their experience and their desires. We have some who request, absolutely, I want to be at the library, or absolutely, I want to be here at the community center. And if we can do that, we certainly will do that. So if you are not sure, or you maybe have a neighbor or a friend or your mother or somebody in the family, please don't hesitate to let us know and contact us. And the last piece on that I will tell you is if you are an older senior, late 80s or early 90s or above, and this is you fit into this category, but you say, my goodness, there's no way in heck I could ever do, it's 100 hours, I definitely physically can't do it. If you have a family member that can do it, the law does allow that to be done in your stead. So if you've got a daughter or son who are living in town, a family member, and they're able to do those 100 hours for you, that certainly can work, and we will work with you to accomplish that. And the last thing that I want to mention is inside your newsletter is a fairly succinct survey that we would like to have you fill out and get back to us. What we did is we had a focus group at the community center here on a Monday night, and we came up with a huge amount of ideas for programs for the future. So the 12 or a little bit over a dozen people that came to that program, obviously we're not going to have be complete spokespersons only for the 5,000 plus that we have in this town over 60, but we did take the ideas that they brought to the table and we put them into the survey in the form of questions to ask you. So if you could please do me the favor of looking in your newsletter, cutting that little page out, pulling it out for us, fill it out. It is anonymous. There's no name required to be on it. And bring it back to the desk. They put it in a manila envelope and get them to me. Basically what it does is it helps us to plan for your future. So if you see on there that they have movies and you would like to see movies and it has a morning, afternoon, or evening, you circle movies and you circle whatever time you think would work well. If you're somebody that hates movies, we want to know that too and put an absolutely not or a big no on there. So anything that you would like to fill out, we want to hear about. So please return those surveys. We only have a few of them back so far. And that's finally it for me, Paul. We've got a lot of things coming up, and I would urge you to look at your newsletter. Also on the Supper Club, I'm just looking down at the newsletter, all of the entertainers are not only listed on the boxes of the meal in the calendar, but they're also listed under the Community Center's big full page separately. So there's a couple places you can find them if you're looking for that.
Well, thank you for all of that, Barbara Ann. That was certainly quite a bit. So we wish you luck on all of those things.
Thank
That's
you
quite a
very
bit.
It is, and I wanted to be able to take some time to go through them so that you can go back and look at your newsletter and say, oh, that's what she was talking about, and either pull it out or circle it or end up calling us and coming to a meal.
Very good. Well, thank you again.
And thank you for tuning in.